On April 23rd, 2026, a man showed up in Kyiv, Ukraine, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, lost and confused, asking everybody around where Pashnaya Street was. And everybody was confused as just like he was, because Pashnaya Street did not exist. For a while, Sergei wandered around and looked around, until two police officers found him.
What surprised me most was his identification papers. The papers were dated 1958, but they were like new. There was a photograph that looked similar to this man, but I didn't see how it could be him. I assumed this person was out of his mind and had to get him to a psychiatrist.
According to the documentation, Sergei was born in Kyiv in 1932. This would make him around 70 years old. But here he was, looking no more than 30-40 years old, in brand new clothes. This left the police officers confused and puzzled. They came on a conclusion that, hey, maybe that this guy stole somebody's ID and he's pretending to be somebody.
I assumed this person was out of his mind and had to get him to a psychiatrist.
Where everything's recorded on CCTV cameras, and this is where things get a little bit strange.
I remember he kept looking at my mobile phone, just staring at it. He didn't want to give me his code or his camera or any of his belongings. I knew he was going to be a difficult patient.
Once he entered the room with a psychologist, where again everything is recorded,
Sergei walked into Dr. Kutrikov's office. He observed his surroundings carefully.
he sat down and the doctor asked him his name and he answered Sergey. And the doctor was like, hey, I want to ask you a few questions. Sergey replied, sure. The doctor asked him how he got here and what happened. Sergey said that he went for a walk on his day off and was taking some pictures. He looked up in the sky and saw something strange, and he ended up here. He even said, look through my camera, I'll show you the proof. It's on camera. Now the psychologist was more curious, and he's like, sure. He took the camera from Sergey. Now, we're in 2006. He looked at the camera. This camera he'd never seen before. It was a vintage camera. Specialist was brought in. Once this specialist was brought in and looked at the camera, and he said, this camera stopped production in 1970s. Here it was, brand new. Specialist said, yes, I can develop the pictures and get the pictures developed. The psychologist brought Sergey back in the room and showed him the pictures that was developed. One by one, the doctor laid the pictures out in front of Sergey. First picture that he took this picture. Him sitting on a porch on a normal day. Second picture you can see here is him with another person. When questioned, Sergey said, yes, that is my girlfriend. Now the third picture that he laid out was this one. And Sergey replied, that's what I saw in the sky and I took the picture and I ended up here. Now the psychologist believed what Sergey had to say. There was pictures backing up his story. During the interview, Sergey looks at the clock and the clock has stopped.
На ваших часах остановились стрелки. Скажите мне лучше, который час?
Dr. Kutrikov checked his Swiss watch, but realized that the watch too had stopped. If we roll back and take a look when Sergey just enters the room, we will notice the clock and the time on the bottom right of the camera indicated 12:31 p.m.
Time did not pass when they were talking. Time stood still. After finishing up with the conversation, the psychologist still had a few more questions. He sent Sergey back to the room that they were keeping him in. That was the last conversation that they would have. He disappeared. When police checked the surveillance cameras, he was the only one walking to his room. And his room had bars on the windows, which would prevent anybody from escaping or getting away. There was only one entrance in and out of his room, and no one else went into his room except for him. He just disappeared. Nobody saw him again, but they did have the pictures that he left behind, so they went to investigate. They went one by one with the three pictures. The first picture was him sitting on a porch. They went to investigate, but the place has changed. The place didn't even exist no longer. They couldn't find it on the map. They couldn't find it anywhere. They looked around, they tried to compare it. It's like the place does not exist. Now picture number 2 had a female in it. They decided to find out who this person was, because she would be the only one that would be able to solve this, who Sergey was and what happened. Fortunately, they were able to track her down and she was alive. But there was only one problem. She was 70 years old. Again, We're in 2006. Her name is Valentina. They presented the picture that Sergei left behind of her and Sergei.
Valentina flipped through her photo album and found a photo she took with Sergei in 1958. It was exactly the same photo that was found in Sergei's camera.
She was more confused and puzzled and left dumbfounded of how they got this picture. She was like, how did you guys get this picture? How do you guys have this?
Сережа был странным человеком. Он говорил такие вещи, которые в то время невозможно было подумать.
They explained to her what happened. She said, yes, that was my boyfriend in 1970, and that picture is real. She said that in 1970 that her boyfriend went missing for a few days, and when he came back and when he returned,
he told her about the microwave and how easily it could cook a meal in a few minutes using electricity.
She said that, she thought that Sergei was just making it up. A few days later, he disappeared again, never to have returned. And she said she got a picture in the mail a few weeks later after he disappeared.
Dearest Valentina, everything is fine with me. I'll try to return when I can. Yours, Sergei.
Now this picture was dated for 2050. It was him in the background of Kyiv. Know that Kyiv's not that developed, and with everything going on, it's not like Kyiv's gonna get developed anytime soon. She said he told her that this was from the year 2050. Now I guess we will have to wait until the year 2050 to find out if that picture is real and if Kyiv gets that developed. Now the magical question is time travel real and is it possible? The answer is yes. In 1905, Albert Einstein published his theory of special relativity. He explained how a moving clock ticks faster than a stationary one, and if you move faster, time will move slower. So if you want to go 100 years into the future, what you do is get a spaceship and travel 99.99 the speed of light, fly somewhere 50 light years away, turn around, come back. When you arrive on Earth, 100 years would have passed. Because you were traveling so fast, 1 year has passed for you.
Time travel!
I guess we have to wait until 2050 to find out what really happened and if Sergei did travel into the future to 2050 and take this picture. Just like always, don't forget to like the video, comment below, and smash that sub button.